Fountain City's man was there, I think. Tudor, I think was his name.
Okay.
And I'm having trouble navigating. My feet just won't go where I want them to go. I knew this, I'd been through this before. And so I was waddling around pretty bad trying to stay up on them. I didn't want to get down. And they was all laughing. They got a big bang out of that for some reason or other. I never did figure them out for that. They evidently couldn't see that I was in trouble. Physically, mentally, whatever. But she did come back, and I did ask her a question. I said, could you get a hold of my nephew? She wanted to know, who is your nephew? I said, Rick Thalls. He's a police officer. She never did. At least I talked to him later, and he said they never did contact him. I was needing help in the worst way.
Mm-hmm.
I got a brain-injured son that's being arrested for a traffic violation that he didn't commit. My granddaughter's in the hospital, and I know he wanted to see her. That's why we were going there.
Okay, that was your original reason for
That's
traveling.
The reason we were going.
She had some kind of medical emergency?
Well, they had her, I finally got up to see her, and they had her wired all up, and I don't know, she seemed to be coherent, but I don't know how bad she was in it. That's up to medical people.
So the two of you had a very serious purpose for being on the road that day?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I talked to a deputy sheriff, another one, and they wouldn't let me drive on to the hospital. And I asked them if one of them could do that for me, and they said no. They were going to tow my car. I said, well, I don't want it towed.
Okay.
I'm on private property here. It belongs to the hospital. The driveway goes into it.
Then how close to the emergency room? Since you were in the Navy, would give me a guess, 100 yards?
No, it's more than that. From the entrance out there back to Reed is probably more like 1,000 yards.
Okay. How close were you to the emergency entrance?
That was about as close as we could get.
Okay.
So he stopped us.
Okay. So Matt did stop for them.
Oh, yeah.
When after I want to have you give me a little more detail. When you heard your son tell him that he was brain injured, and you were able to get around to the side of the car, besides twisting his arm behind his back, Matt's arm behind his back, was there any other kind of physical interaction there with the deputy and Matt?
Yeah, he took his leg and threw it in front of Matt's and then shoved him to the pavement.
Okay. Tripped him?
Yeah. That's a typical takedown for law enforcement, I guess. He not only did that, he kneed him twice, 3 times, 4 times in the ribs. Now, he come out of that accident with some busted ribs. I think they were on the other side.
Okay.
Busted collarbone, hip throughout, arm not being able to work it properly. He had a lot of problems, a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm. Did what happened after that? You were there. You're in your car. Your son is in the police car, as I understand it. He's been hurt and arrested. And was there any other interaction between you and the deputy that made the arrest, or any of the other officers?
Well, as soon as he got Matt in the car, he came back over to me, and he said, "You saw him attack me." I said, "No, I didn't see him attack you. I saw you attack him." With that, he spun and walked away. I suppose he got more on his tape than he intended.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Was there any video or recording of this?
I don't know, whatever was going on, I guess has been destroyed since then.
I see. Now,
Uh,
I'm given to understand that Matt, because of his brain injury, carries a recorder with him for the purpose of reviewing the day, so that he might better remember what details and etc. Or if he needs to call someone. Did Matt have that recorder with him that day?
he did, and
Did he use it?
sheriff took it away from him and opened it out.
Now, was this a regular tape?
Well, a little recorder, and not very big. It's one you carry in your pocket or hand.
So he disassembled somehow the tape recorder.
Yes.
Did you get it back?
I don't know whether he ever did or not.
Okay.
Finally did, but whatever was in there wasn't in there no more.
Was gone.
Gone.
Okay. All right. And were you assisted by any of the officers to get up to the hospital? How did you wind up getting to the hospital then?
Well, there's a lot of mixed emotions going on. I'm getting pretty well perturbed, which is easy for me. Little Richmond lady, police officer, told me to go sit in the car. Well, I tried that, and I wasn't in there very long. Of course, it was air conditioning on that car didn't work, so it's pretty hot in there. I have to leave the motor run once I get it started. Starts hard, runs good.
You're talking about your car.
Yes.
Okay.
And I all of a sudden knew I had to puke. So
Okay.
I got out and come back to the side of the little bridge. She was standing there. What are you doing out of the car? I said, little lady, I'm going to have to puke. And she turned her back to me and said, go ahead, which was all right with me. That relieved me. You know, when you're sick, you got to answer.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
So you vomited then?
yes.
Okay.
It seemed to relieve my problems with my eyes because the two black holes went away.
Okay.
You see, when you're diabetic, what happens to you all comes from your stomach, what you put in it. And I've always tried to be ever so careful. Sometimes you slip up, and I got some stuff in there I shouldn't have got,
Okay.
and so it's acting up.
You feel that being shoved by the officer might have helped contribute to it, or the
Well,
excitement, or?
You know, when you get as old as I am, you can't take too much motion shoving in the stomach. I mean, it just
Is that where you were shoved, in the stomach?
it just don't work like it did when you was young.
Woody, is that where you were shoved, in the stomach?
Yeah.
And so you at that time 88 years old, correct?
Yes.
Can you imagine? Were you treating the officer roughly? Were you hitting at him, or in any way
No,
interfering with his duties?
I'm just standing there, and he's roughing him up.
Okay. Now you said that you had touched him. Did you touch him on the shoulder?
On the shoulder. I walked up to his back, and I tapped him on the shoulder.